you. I just want to apologize if I look down a lot. I took a lot of notes on what I want to say because as someone who literally just talks for a living, I tend to ramble if I don't cut myself off. So, like you said, my name is Emily. I graduated from IUSB in December of 2013. I was born and raised in LaPorte. I still live there now with my husband and my two beautiful daughters. In my spare time, I guess I like to run and bike a lot of races with my husband. I play the violin. I sew a lot of dresses. I love staying busy. I love learning new things, and a lot of that is thanks to my education here, all my professors that made education fun for me, and it's still a big part of my life that I enjoy continuing with that. When I started college, I thought I wanted to be a social worker, purely because I wanted to help people and I had no idea what I wanted to do, just that my parents wanted me to go to college. When I was in high school, I took my first Spanish classes and I absolutely fell in love with the language. I loved everything about it. And during my first trimester, LaPorte High School does trimesters, not semesters, I ran up to my teacher all excited and I told her that I wanted to be an interpreter. And she looked at me and she said that it was impossible, that I can't do it because I am not a native Spanish speaker and I'll never be fluent enough. And so I stopped considering it as a career path. And then fast forward to my first year of college, I started college at Alumna Nazarene University and spent about a year there before moving back home to deal with some family issues. And at Olivet, I was required to take a foreign language as just part of my gen ed classes, and so I chose Spanish because I did still love the language. And my first semester of college, for some reason, I loaded myself up with 20 credit hours and found that it was a little bit hard to make time to study for everything. And through all the craziness, I just remembered how much I loved Spanish, and that was the one class that I was actually enjoying through all of it, and I was thriving in it because Spanish just made sense to me. So I spoke with some of my professors and I decided I needed to pursue Spanish as my major instead. My family and friends, every time I met anyone really that I told I was a Spanish major, they assumed I wanted to be a teacher. And I looked at them and I said very seriously, I do not want to sit in a classroom with a bunch of high schoolers who don't want to learn Spanish. I want to just speak Spanish all day. And luckily, when I transferred to IUSB for my second year of college, I met incredible professors who supported that idea. Catherine Herber-Annis told me one day in class that I should start collecting English-Spanish brochures everywhere I go, anywhere that I think maybe I'd be interested in interpreting there, so that I could see the way that they say things, so that I phrase things the way that companies want me to phrase things, and I can make sure that I know certain terminology, and just as a way to really start seeing the back and forth between the two languages. And I actually still do that to this day. As a medical interpreter, every doctor's office I'm in, wherever it is, even at the school systems where I interpreter, I'm grabbing brochures everywhere I go to test myself on my fluency and also to keep up with the field because the medical field is constantly changing and just helps me continue to educate myself through everything. I also wanted to thank Profe Julia Hernando for teaching me to push myself educationally. Growing up, I tended to ease through my classes very well without much effort. And it was my first class with him that I had a very difficult time getting through that class. It was a very hard class. And because of that, though, I learned how to study much better. I learned how to multitask. I learned how to prioritize all my efforts. And that was a turning point in my education because it was really the first time that I was struggling in a class, and he taught me to push myself through that and see my full potential. I'm also very grateful for the study abroad opportunities at IUSB. I was lucky enough to get to study abroad in Oaxaca in Mexico the summer of 2012. And it just reiterated to me how much I loved the Spanish language and the culture and everything about it. I think about 3 months after I got back from that study abroad, I was about halfway through my education, I ended up getting pregnant, and I made the decision to push myself even harder. I had heard all these stories about women dropping out of school because they had a baby, and all my friends and family thought, well, you're never going to finish school now because you're going to have a baby and you're just not going to have the time. So I registered for extra classes, and while I was pregnant, I was at over 20 credit hours, and my professors were incredible. They helped me with anything I needed to make sure I passed that class, whether it was emailing me after class about something I didn't understand from lecture, or staying after class to answer all the questions I had, and giving me advice on how to write better papers and how to take better notes so that I could get through that and accomplish my goals. With the guidance and help from all of my professors, I actually ended up graduating a semester early, which is a big feat after having transferred schools, switching majors twice, and having a baby. And I would never have been able to do it without the support here at IUSB. The people here truly care about all of the students. They understand that real life affects us as students, and they are kind enough to guide us through all of that to accomplish our goals. When I graduated from here, I did a lot of random work trying to find my place as an interpreter. I worked at pharmacies and insurance agencies and law offices, but none of them quite suited me because I wanted to just be interpreting. I didn't want to be doing all of their paperwork in the background during the day and all these other things. So eventually I started working for LaPorte Hospital, and they sent me to an accredited interpreter training program in LaPorte. And I learned everything there, from Spanish medical terminology to the code of ethics to the standards of practice, even to just how the hospital really works, or the medical field really works. And after I completed the course, I began working for SLI interpreters in LaPorte, where I still work now. And I love being able to give back to the community that I live in, and being able to help people every day that I work. The people that I interpret for come into doctors' offices, and they come into schools to accomplish fairly simple tasks, like talking to their doctor about a health concern, or talking to their child's teacher about a concern at school. And these fairly simple tasks become very difficult for them because they don't understand the language. And this is kind of a scary concept to think about, to have a health issue and not know how to communicate it with someone. Or see that your child is having problems in school and not being able to talk to the school about what's going on. It is a very helpless feeling, and it is the ultimate joy and blessing to be able to help them through that. At SLI Interpreters, we interpret for medical patients, which encompasses everything from cardiovascular, pediatric, psychiatric, women's health, and everything in between. The specific medical terminology is a lot to remember and to keep up on all of it, and I wouldn't be able to do so if I hadn't learned here how to push myself and to stay on top of all of my tasks, and again, to just continue my education continually. We also work for the LaPorte Community School Corporation, where we primarily assist in the special education department, because by law, their parents are required to meet with the school at least 2 times a year to discuss their plans of action with the students and everything like that. I am grateful every day for my education from IUSB and the experience that I've had here. They help me to be a better interpreter, a better professional, and they allow me to give back to those in my community. If there's any advice I can give to my fellow alumni or anyone else here, it is to never stop learning and never stop challenging yourself and pursuing new things. Whether you continue your education, whether you get a second degree, or just go to the library and look at the nonfiction section. And never, ever, ever listen to someone who tells you that you can't do something. Because if there's anything that I've learned through all of this, it is that we are capable of anything that we put our minds to. Thank you.